Our assignment is to find an abstract from a journal article on scholar.google.com, which is a resource that we can use. It's a little bit easier to use than some of the library's research databases, but on the downside, it doesn't have necessarily free access to everything that we might want to find. And so to get to scholar.google.com, just go to your web browser. You can type in Google Scholar or scholar.google.com, and when you do that, you'll have this option here for articles, whether you include patents or not, which we don't need to, or case law. And so we're going to use articles. And let's say that I wanted to work on playing baseball for a career, and I was going to research or read about maybe sports medicine, things like that, to figure out what I could do. And so if we go in here and we type in baseball variation, it's going to be easier to work with measures of variation in terms of searching for them than looking for, say, mean or standard deviation. So if I type baseball variation here, so whatever basically your major or your interest is that you want to look at, and then variation, then that's going to allow us to sort of hone in on the articles that will contain some data that we want. And you don't have to necessarily do that search, but I found that that's an easier way to get some that are easier to work with, because some of these articles can be really in-depth and harder to understand everything and connect it with what we're doing. But this first one here, you can see I've clicked on it, relationship of biomechanical factors to baseball pitching velocity within pitcher variation. This one's not an abstract, it's actually the full article. Sometimes you'll find the full articles for free, and you might have to click through and skim over a couple of them to find one that has something you can use in it. And here you can see that they are working with biomechanical factors for baseball pitching velocity within certain pitcher variation. And so right off the bat, they describe here the study looked at 19 baseball pitchers. So we have a sample size of 19. Inclusion in the study, they had to have a variation in velocity of at least 1.8 meters per second during 6 to 10 fastball pitch trials. And then they did some different assessments on them. And so if we scroll down, there's going to be some information in here about the average age, so the mean there in the sample, the average height, and then the average weight or mass there. Again, they talk about the sample size and how they wanted some variation in the velocity, because what happens is when they're pitching at maximal effort, then we want that. And so we can read down, and in your summary, just talk about the study that was done, what was measured, and how they looked at the mean and the standard deviation for that. And you can sort of, if you want to scroll through this one, find that. You could look at that as an example. And then just copy the link for that. Sometimes you'll be able to get a link to the full article, sometimes just to an abstract. Paste that in your discussion post and just do a brief summary of this article that you found here.